exploring the vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Sean Scavarna and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go. Get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast.
Now with more Curtis.
And enjoy the ride. Right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to L.O.G on MYP. This is the mini-series of that mini-series, so a micro-series?
Mini-er series?
We're going to go micro. This is our micro-series on the Toys of 2000X. And today we are up to Wave 3. Now, for those of you who have been following along so far, up until now, we've split up the waves between action figures and then vehicles / playsets. This wave is a smaller one, so we're actually going to try and knock out the entire wave in one episode here. So
we can do it.
Buckle up.
I have faith in us.
Before we get to that, though, one thing that we had said we were going to do is get a breakdown of He-Man's versus Skeletor's versus unique characters. Okay. So I'm going to start this episode with our count up till now. So not including Wave 3. And then from here on out, I'll be able to add on to it.
Okay.
So right now we've got He-Man, and this is just talking action figures. So I didn't count like Battle Cat Panther, just figures. So for He-Man, you
ways
have
to purchase He-Man, right? Like
between
variant colors and all that.
Any action figure of He-Man you could have bought at this point.
Gotcha.
I'm saying for the unique characters, I just counted figures. I didn't count Battle Cat Panther or like the vehicles or anything.
Gotcha.
So for He-Man, if you had bought every figure up until now, you would have 8 He-Mans. You would have 6 Skeletors. So a total of 11 between the two.
8 and 6 is 14.
Yes, 14, like I said. Versus unique characters, you would have 10.
Okay.
So if you had your entire 2000X collection of
I
figures...
think we might have missed some in there because I had...
I think so.
Did that include the 2-pack as well?
I got the 2-pack, yep.
And the initial variant colors where you said that there was a problem with the first one where it came out with 2 different colors or something.
I did not count like the running changes. Like if like the first one came out with the cross,
that's what I meant.
They changed the.
I did not
count.
Okay, I was counting those initially because you could potentially have another different version of it.
So let's add another one to He-Man then. Okay, so that takes you up to 9 He-Mans. 6 Skeletors.
Was there another one of Skeletor too, or no? Skeletor was
unless you want to count the chase variants, but I think those are so limited. Like
I think that's when because I had 17, which would be 10 and 7, which would be with the chase variants. Gotcha. But that's fine. I just wanted to know, like, if somebody had every single version.
Well, then
how many is it at this point? And that would be.
Let's add one more on for each. So 17 total for He-Man and Skeletor.
Versus 10 original characters.
10 unique characters that aren't He-Man or Skeletor. Yeah,
beautiful.
So you would have 27 figures on your shelf. 10 of them would be something other than He-Man and Skeletor. In 2 waves. 2 waves.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. All right, let's get into Wave 3. So we're gonna
where should we? What do you think we should start with if we're going into a new wave? Like if you're Mattel, you go, okay, we're getting into Wave 3. What do the people need at this point?
Well, at this point, we need another He-Man. Like you don't have
that is right
enough He-Man. And now remember, this is one of those waves where it's only heroes.
So now we're at 11 He-Man, which makes
so now we've
18
got
He-Man and Skeletors overall.
So now we've got our martial arts He-Man. This is a new variant. It features dragon chest armor. It's a new sculpt for him.
Let me just tell you, like, just before even looking at this, like in my head, and kind of like similar to how you like to do when we're doing the episode, the reviews of the episodes.
Yeah.
And you want to kind of think, what would the moral potentially be? Like when you just tell me martial arts He-Man, because a lot of these I'm seeing for the first time. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, martial arts, stealthy, cloth, maybe leather armor,
almost very... a ninja type of thing you're thinking.
Very much. Yeah. But no, we got a battle axe and metal armor. And I mean, this is, if you showed me this and said, hey, what do you think the name of this He-Man would be? Martial arts He-Man might be the last thing on my list. So,
but he does have nunchucks.
Is it though? It looks more like a flail with not real, like the chain doesn't bend.
According to the back of the packaging, it's nunchucks.
But look at it. Like the one end is not like you can't just grab that other end, right, and use it like nunchucks. Like
no, it is molded plastic. It is stuck in that position.
But I'm saying like the other end of that is not like a handle. Like nunchucks have two handles.
He could grab that black part on the other side. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking below that was the handle. Like that's like the connector. So when you look at the individual one where he's not holding it and you look at it at the side, to me, the black part is the connector and the part below that is the handle. So on the other side, if you've got the black part as the connector, then below that, you've got this spiky nonsense that he wouldn't be able to hold. So to me, that's not a nunchuck, but they can call it whatever they want. They could call it, oatmeal. And
well, you see whatever. in Eternia, nunchucks only are one-handed.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense.
So yeah, he features dragon chest armor. He does have his battle axe, his sword of power, nunchucks, and a staff that the battle axe and the power sword plug into. So
yeah, that a staff with a axe on one end and a sword on the other definitely is martial arts. Like that tells that to me. Sure. I'm like, what's martial arts? Battle axe and sword attached to a staff. So, yeah. It's almost like they had one group of people making the figures and another group of people naming figures without looking at what was made, and they just kind of threw it together. Or they had like a randomizer. Like, we'll make the toys, and then we hit the randomizer, and it came out, spit out a name. And as long as it had He-Man in it, it doesn't matter what you put in front of it. That's what we're going to throw on this. So
I will say, to me, this is more martial arts than the samurai figures were samurai.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
I could see where you're coming from.
Yes. And he does have a new action feature where if you press a button on his right gauntlet, it makes his right hand spin, so he's spinning the nunchucks.
Yeah, like human hands do, like where they just kind of completely rotate around in circles, completely around, like Exorcist style, for sure.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We do have, I think this is our first look at the new packaging. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a minute since our last episode, but where on the title card now, they've got a picture of the cartoon Grayskull, along with, the figure in action on the front there.
What always gets me on these is how nobody thought to make the picture on the card match the actual figure. Like they have these different colors on the card versus the figure, and we've seen this several times now.
Right.
And you
see the prototype.
And there's been times where I thought the figure actually looked better than the art, and times where I thought the art looked better than the figure. But you're just like, why? Like, right. why can't you? Why aren't people talking to one another? The people naming it aren't talking to the people making it. The people that are making the figure aren't talking to the people making the packaging.
Yep.
Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yep.
So,
and this is one where I actually like the prototype better with the red copper dragon armor, and even his gauntlets are more of a bronze than a gold. Like, I just think I think it's a better and more He-Man color scheme there than the bright blue. So, and the interesting thing is that they kind of I think we saw this back with Jungle Attack He-Man, where they kind of make the case that the Power Sword transforms with these different, because that is listed on the back as the Power Sword, that little
it's almost like
3-pronged blade.
It's almost like She-Ra's sword, right? Where they can take different forms and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea that the toys are going with, where he changes armor and that also changes his weapons.
Which we haven't seen in the series up till now, but yeah.
No, not at all. So, I had it. I thought it was, I like the
this is one that you picked up, huh?
Yep, I bought this. Yep.
Okay.
I really did like that dragon armor. Like, I could give a shit about martial arts, whatever, but I thought he was a cool looking figure. And again, I'm at this point, 2003, I'm just trying to show Mattel, yes, please keep making my He-Mans. I want more. So
I think it's interesting because I just from conversations that we've had, a conversation I've had with the Horsemen, I think it's interesting that they, did the sculpts, gave the sculpts to Mattel, and Mattel was like, okay, what action features and things like that do we want to add? And they changed up some things based on the action features. And like on this, they go, we should make an exorcist spinning hand, but knee articulation, like you can only get this thing in one pose ever as far as a stance goes.
Yeah.
But that's all right. But we're gonna have his hands spin around in circles. Like, I just feel like maybe there was a better way to do these things to where these toys would have been a little bit better. So.
Oh, for sure there was. Absolutely there was.
This is 2003. Like, this is not like a time. Granted, it's 20 years ago now, but it's not a time period where they weren't doing elbow and knee articulation. Right?
No, but that was more the collectors line, and then the more like Spawn was doing that, and like these higher end lines. See, that Mattel's still in their mindset of these are for kids. None of these 20-year-old, 30-year-olds at this point are buying these in Mattel's eyes. These are for the 8-year-olds.
Gotcha.
So we got to keep it simple.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we've got. Yeah, just what we needed. Battle Glove Man-at-Arms, because it'd been a while since we had a Man-at-Arms.
Oh, wasn't it last wave?
Yeah, we just had the Samurai. We had Man-at-Arms in the first wave. We had Samurai. So, yeah, this series, obviously, we've done He-Mans, we've done Skeletors, but at the same time, Man-at-Arms seems to be like kind of their third guy there, where they're like, we need to keep this dude on store shelves.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got it's the disappointing part is it's basically the same Man-at-Arms we got, except he's got a different gun to fit over his hand, and he's got this weird axe attachment for his mace.
It's not even like a whole new mace weapon. It's the same mace weapon with like this little thing that slides over it.
Right.
So I don't, like I said, I wasn't aware of these things at the time. I wasn't toy collecting at the time. So I don't know whether the other Man-at-Arms was still sitting on shelves or not. But like, if you saw these two sitting next to each other, you'd be like, they're basically the same figure. Like, and if you're somebody that has loved the line since vintage, you probably go, all I need is Man-at-Arms with the mace. So the whether it has the arm attachment with rockets or whatever from the first one, or the arm attachment with rockets or whatever from the second one, which it's just a different design with the same functionality. For me, I'm probably not using that attachment anyways. So it's the exact same figure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can actually that slides right off.
Right.
Like you could buy this figure and you could slide that off. And
if you're going to do that, it's the same thing.
Right. You're just getting the quote unquote battle glove, which is the giant gun.
Yeah. I mean, this one, because I got the pages folded over and I'm looking at both at the same time. and this one does have a little bit darker loin piece and boot. And instead of kind of a reddish brown, it's more of a dark brown. So I could, and then instead of a blue belt and bracer, he's got a gray or silver belt and bracer. So,
sure.
If that was one of the holdups for somebody, if they, were like, hey, I'd rather have them have this silver belt and bracer and the darker loin piece, maybe, but
yeah.
I can't see somebody buying both of these.
No. And that's the problem. Yes, there are technically color variations, but it's not drastic enough. Like, if you're going to redo this character this soon, and there might have been some people that missed him, but like Man-at-Arms wasn't a terribly hard figure to come by, out of those early waves. So,
is the action feature the same? The kind of arm swinging up and down?
Yep. You press the button on his back, and his hand goes up and down. The missile fires out of his gun, and this is one of the very few that I skipped on at the time, just for that reason. I'm like, what's the point? A gun that he doesn't even use ever in the show or anything,
right?
That'd be another thing if you gave him some of those crazy attachments that he used in the series, maybe then you could kind of justify it. But yeah,
I love what they say here at the end of the write-up where it says, well, it doesn't stand out much from the original release. If you were somebody that missed out on the first figure, this is a great way to add Man-at-Arms to your collection at the time.
Yep. Yeah, and that's it. That's all this was for.
Yeah, if you missed it, here it is.
And I can't
and that's really what it seems like Mattel has been with this whole line is like, hey, there's certain characters that we feel are important. And those characters, we want to keep putting them out there so that in case somebody jumps in the line late, they can get a version of that character.
Right.
Even though there's a whole wealth of characters in this universe that they could have gone to, they want to keep going back to that same well because they thought that was what was going to make them successful. So,
and that's the thing. And you got to think at this point, we're talking, this is the spring wave of 2003. Mm-hmm. So like the first season of the cartoon's wrapping up.
Yep.
And we're sitting here. I haven't even been able to add a unique character to my column yet. We're sitting here with 30 figures and only a third of them are unique characters.
And I don't even think a third because, like we said, there's been multiple Man-at-Arms and things like that. So like there, I think
that's what I'm saying. Like you're sitting here going, we have all these main characters.
Like you said at the beginning, we said 17 and 10. But there wasn't 27 figures. There was actually more than that because there's been non-unique characters that have been in there. So it may be, But I hear you.
Close to. My math's not precise, but it's like.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's not just that they're duplicating the Skeletor and He-Man. It's like there's also this Man-at-Arms, and it feels like he's the only other one. Like it's those two in Man-at-Arms. Yeah. That they felt like were the standouts that they need to keep producing. That's the one we saw in Samurai. That's the one we're seeing here.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Now we finally got here. A year after the line launches, we've got Prince Adam.
Now, we're not counting this as another version of He-Man, right?
No, I'm going to count this as a unique character, especially in this series. So we do get to add a column on Mark there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we've got our younger Prince Adam that we've come to know and love in this series. He comes with his smaller transformed sword of power and his scepter that is also a missile. So, and I was excited to get this guy. I really love what they did with Prince Adam in the series. I'm not 100% in love with his head sculpt.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. It looks more like a Luke Skywalker than a Prince Adam.
And that's ever since this figure was revealed. That's on the message boards. That's the
conversation
that was made. Yes,
well, I guess I nailed it then.
But yeah, just to get the smaller Prince Adam, he's not just a repaint of He-Man. He's got the pants, the gauntlets. Like I was excited for this guy.
I'll admit, when I first, just being a Filmation guy, like when I first saw the MYP series, I wasn't a fan of the smaller Adam. Until then, you saw, what Kevin Smith initially did, and then it's like, oh well, at least this one was still like athletic and wiry, can do stuff. He wasn't like a total useless twit. So I've grown to like this a lot more over the years. As far as the version in the show, this figure is pretty good. I really liked the vintage Prince Adam, I love the fact that we got a cloth vest for him, which was always like one of my favorite features. And then his sword. Yeah, I always love the color of his sword. So I kind of wish that we would have got some of that here, a little bit of soft goods, the colored sword. While I know it doesn't match up to the show, I think it would have been a nice callback here. But other than the head, this isn't a bad figure. The head's kind of rough, though.
See, I hated soft goods.
Oh, really?
I never used Prince Adam's vintage sword. I always gave him the gray power sword.
I loved it, dude. It was my favorite.
Nope, I never used it for him. So this coming with the plastic and the actual quote unquote on screen power sword. Absolutely, let's go.
I would have liked if they at least would have made this the kind of smaller version of the sword before he kind of transforms. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was a little bit smaller, but.
Well, it is.
This is smaller than the other one that comes with He-Man?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I guess maybe just because he's such a small figure, it looks huge on him.
Yeah, actually, I kind of
like, especially that picture with it on his back. Like
I was gonna say, I kind of wish there was a. I don't think you're appreciating how much smaller this Prince Adam is. Compared to
I
the
haven't
other
seen
figures.
Comparison pics, so yeah, it's hard to.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find something.
I do love the addition of like the strap across his chest and stuff, and like the one that the little pouch on his leg, like those little extra details are really nice.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I love this figure, and they gave him the power punch. And that's it. So there's no buttons or anything, and the fact that they actually gave him the sheath on his back so that you can put the sword on his back.
The sheath is nice. The sword looks freaking huge on his back, though.
Let me see here. Share screen.
And that picture on the bottom on the far left, like that's my problem with this line. Is that you've got to have these guys like arched backwards in order to stand them upright because of the way that their legs are sculpted and the way that they put in the articulation. Like it's rough.
That's probably about the best picture.
That is quite a bit different.
Yeah, it's the best picture I found in a quick search, but you can see how much narrower it's not as wide and it's not as long. And yeah, He-Man stands a good foot over Prince Adam. So
yeah, that's good. That's cool.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. That's why.
To me, nothing will beat the vintage. And I'll say, I think, man, hot take here. I think Prince Adam might be my favorite vintage figure.
Wow.
Like I love that figure so much. The sword and the soft goods and stuff. So while I think this is really good for this line, I don't think it touches that one. And for me, so.
Wow, that is a take. Yeah. See, I want this Prince Adam in some. I want a Masterverse of this Prince Adam. Like you know what I mean. I
could see that.
The vintage is fine. We all grew up with him, but like I really love what they did with him. Just the smaller stature and everything. Like, but he still has the muscles, like we talked about in the series. Like he still looks like a warrior. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in the series and even this guy here, like he can hold his own. Like it's not like, if he's out there fighting with the Masters, he's not getting his ass kicked and they're having to come save him. It's just he's not He-Man, but nobody's He-Man but He-Man. So
absolutely. All right, rounding out the figures from this wave, we've got Cyclone, finally. So we got the updated version by the Four Horsemen. He still comes with his little yellow shield, and he's got his new ring that goes on his back, pops down over his head as kind of a blade weapon as he's spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Still with the lenticular sticker. Great color scheme, easily recognizable. Amazing figure. I love Cyclone, and this figure knocked it out of the park. And he did still have his action feature where you spin the dial on his belt and his upper body spins around. So
Yeah, I would say this figure is damn near perfect. The only thing that I would say that I have a problem with on this figure is I wish that the coloring was a little bit different. I wish the torso was more that like really bright blue that we get from, we've gotten from New Eternia, we've gotten from Classics, we've got from Vintage, because that was always the thing that attracted me to the Cyclone was the red, yellow, and blue are just so like bright and in your face, like it's just like it just pops. And here they made it more kind of a darker blue, almost purple. And so while the figure looks great, I think that if it had that like bright blue, it would just pop a lot more.
Yeah. And that's what they've done with the color schemes throughout this entire line is they've tried to
mute it a little bit
more mature, a little more muted. So,
But the figure itself looks great. I love that they kept the action feature, the spinning, the addition of the ring is nice. And even we're reading from the book right here, and the picture at the bottom that they actually show of it spinning is really nice. Like that's a good picture that they captured kind of the spinning motion. They did a good job.
No, and he still has the articulation.
That's just me needing to take my vitamins, but go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, he actually still does have the articulation to where he spins, but you can still pose his arms.
Yeah, too, it didn't ruin the like with Stratos we kind of talked about, like it can only go up and down. Like this, it can go up and down and it can still move. Like this was a lot better. From wave, what was that, wave 1 or wave 2 that Stratos came out?
Wave 1, yep, he was first.
So from wave 1 to wave 3, you can see they're already kind of making improvements on the articulation and stuff.
Absolutely. All right, so that takes us to, we didn't have any vehicles in this wave. First wave without any vehicles. So, but they did release a playset, which is the Mutant Slime Pit playset. Now, obviously, this is supposed to
not
at least
the slime pit.
No, we got to differentiate it from that classic slime pit that I think is everyone's favorite little playset of the 80s. So this one comes with this new mutant slime pit, which is very reminiscent of Skeletor's throne from the cartoon series. It comes with the mutant warrior, which we've seen both in a giant version and in a mini version in the series that Triclops controlled. And then, of course, the canister of slime and a bunch of little plastic guts, because that mutant bone warrior figure has a cool action feature where you put the guts and the slime inside its chest, close it up, and like plug it into the waist. And then it's got a place on the front where if He-Man punches it, the torso pops off and explodes and spills his guts everywhere. So, and then the way that unfortunately that's the coolest part of it is the figure that comes with it. Because the slime pit itself is pretty disappointing. The idea is you sit Skeletor on the throne, which he doesn't really sit, he just kind of straddles it. You put a heroic warrior in front of him on that green spot, and then when you tip the throne forward, the figure falls down into the slime pit, which you put that little tub underneath. And the problem is the scale, because it is so small that even when the figure falls in, the head's still sticking out. And then you put that tub underneath for him to fall into, and it just looks like he's like in a kiddie pool.
He's getting a foot bath.
Right. And then there is a hole in the snake of the throne to pour slime in, but it doesn't really work like that vintage one does. It just kind of globs through, and when you lay it down, it's right on top of the figure anyways, so you don't get that dripping effect. Everybody bought this as a throne for Skeletor and for that figure. I doubt anybody bought this to actually be the slime pit, and it completely pales in comparison to the vintage slime pit.
So a couple things with this. Number one, I'm not a big slime guy. Never was into the slime aspect. I thought it was gross. The feel of it, the fact that it collects every kind of dust and hair and dirt and debris around you. Never really liked that. The design of this is very kind of dumb. The way that the figure, only their feet go in and stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that Skeletor can't really sit on the throne is kind of silly. The slime pit, I would give a 1 out of 10. The mutant warrior, I'd give probably a 9 out of 10. Like, I think it's amazing. And what I'm curious here, I know we've talked about like the Mattel had done like the play sets and vehicles, and Horseman did the figures. I'm wondering if Mattel designed this figure or if the Horseman designed this figure.
I would say Mattel would have.
It's a cool figure. I really like it.
No, it's really cool. And I think they designed, I think Mike Young came up with the Bone Warrior that we see.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Mattel did this figure based on it.
And we've seen some really cool things in cartoons that don't always translate to figure form well. I think this one does. Like, it's not the exact as what we see in the series.
Yep.
But it's a cool toy. It definitely is a neat toy.
Oh, it is. They're a lot of fun. Like I said, that's the draw for it. This is why I bought it. I bought a second one when they went on clearance just so I could have a second figure. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, that's a standout. That, and if you look at that, packaging art is really good. The front of the box with the warrior rising up, covered in slime, and He-Man standing at the base of the pit. Like,
it's all right. It's not my color palette, and like I said, I'm not a slime guy, so the greens and the kind of orangish red doesn't really do much for me. But I've seen worse box art, that's for sure.
Well, and it's one of the first, if nothing else, it's one of the first time in this series that we've seen like pictures instead of just the figures. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Like where it's actual like box art, not box photos. Yeah.
I mean, I still don't. It's nowhere near the box art that we grew up on, but it is at least. It's a stab at it, right? It seems like they're trying to kind of go a more box arty way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, that slime pit stinks. So you didn't even like the vintage slime pit?
Nope.
Not even the design of it.
Nah, I wasn't a slime pit guy.
But that does at least allow us to add another tag to our unique characters with the Bone Warrior.
Yeah, the Bone Warrior for sure.
And that is it for the retail wave. Like, this is actually like, I mean, I'm just gonna say, I think this is the weakest wave.
Is that there not wasn't there another figure that you sent me?
There is another figure that was released at this time, but he was not retail. We got our first Toy Fair exclusive in Faker.
I did not realize that was an exclusive. All right.
Yeah, so good old Toy Fair magazine, they would have these once in a while where they get an exclusive just for them. You'd mail away the little coupon in the issue of Toy Fair along with your check or money order. Yes, that's how it was back then. And you got a figure in the mail. And so, yeah, the first Toy Fair exclusive that they did was Faker. He is a repainted He-Man with orange Skeletor armor. He comes with an orange sword of power. And he came in a window box style packaging instead of the usual blister card with the Toy Fair Wizard logo.
Which is nice packaging. It looks nice.
Yeah, and they would use this again for future exclusives down the road. So.
I also like the side of it with the Snake Mountain.
Cool. Yeah, and even in the back where you have the figure in the background is the artwork for the throne room from the Mike Young series. So... and he did come with
the little tagline built by Skeletor. Looks like He-Man fights for evil.
Yep,
that's awesome.
No, it's a good little figure. And he does have the sticker on his chest too when you take off the harness. So
yep, and then you look down at the bottom on the side profile picture, and you see where he has to lean backwards in order to stand up.
Yep.
So.
That's just how Eternians stand.
Yeah.
I unfortunately did not have him I mailed off my coupon in money order, but it got returned to me because it made it in past the deadline.
Oh,
so
douche. You totally douched it.
Yep.
Yeah. This is cool. I mean, we've gotten. I mean, I guess we're counting this as another unique character, even though it's still the
Well,
He-Man.
I was gonna ask you what your opinion was. I mean,
I think this is a unique character, but they're still getting use out of that tooling for
yes.
sure.
I'm with you there. I wanted to count as a unique character, but I wasn't going to until I conferred with you.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique character. And I would say, even though I've seen this buck, whatever, 18 times now, or however many, whatever it is, it's 11 for him, I think. Yeah. 11 for him. I still love this. I've always been a fan of more the pink instead of orange color scheme. But this is really cool. I like it a lot.
The one that you never saw as a kid, because that was the one from India.
Yeah, but like when we've seen it in the what is it, the faking filmation, and then we've seen some other versions of that since. I just really like that pink color.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this is really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it does its job. Yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect for a faker, and it's the perfect exclusive. Just change that color palette, make it exclusive to Toy Fair.
If this were coming out today, I would expect, like an alternate head with some battle damage or whatever, like just some other things. But for the time, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, and even at the time, like the Horsemen always said, like, we still want to do a faker. This is just something Mattel did on their own for Toy Fair. Like, this was never, I guess it was never supposed to be like the Horseman's faker for the
line. Yeah. I mean, they just took they already had the tooling. They decided to change the colors, do a run. Yeah. I mean
exactly
corporate stuff. So.
All right. So but again, that's it. Like, they really went light in the spring of 2003. Like I was saying earlier, I really think this is the weakest wave thus far. Like, so who's your standout for this wave, Curtis?
I mean, it's got to be Cyclone. Yeah. Cyclone's amazing. He's probably, one of, if not the best in the line. He's awesome. Finally we get an action feature where I go, this isn't dumb. Like, this is actually cool. And it's mostly because they stuck with what worked in the original. Like, and that's what I think a lot of companies are finding out today. Like, you see it with G.I. Joes. They put out the first wave of classified and it didn't really go over so well. And then they went more to kind of like the classic looks and it's selling like hotcakes. Superpowers, they put out the first wave and it didn't do so hot. They changed it back to more of kind of the traditional look, or more of the traditional look, and it's selling. And I think Mattel kind of fell into a little bit of that trap here, where they're trying to do all these crazy new action features and stuff. And if you just give us what we had, and maybe like a little bit updated, you're probably going to do a lot better. And I think that's with Cyclone here, you get that, where it's like you get the same action feature, but now it's instead of like the I don't know, you get a little bit more articulation in the arms and stuff, and you add the ring, like this is what it should be.
Yeah, and at the time, it's still a significant upgrade. Like, yes, we missed out on the knee and elbow that the Horseman wanted in this line, but even with what it had, it's a huge upgrade from the vintage. So
for sure,
yeah, I gotta go Cyclone too. My honorary mention is for the Bone Warrior.
Bone Warrior is cool too.
Yeah, he's cool. The downside is
Sticker's not bad. Yeah, for a repaint, the fact that they added the sticker is nice touch. Yeah. I would have been kind of upset if I, missed the deadline or didn't. Maybe I wasn't reading Toy Fair at the time or whatever. Like that. Like the fact that you're missing out on such an important character. Kind of sucks, but yeah,
for sure. All right,
the bad one of the wave. You got, what's your least favorite?
Oh, it gotta be Battle Glove Man in Arms. just lazy. At least martial arts He-Man gave us something unique. He's like, here's my new gun.
Yeah, I don't get the naming of martial arts He-Man, but at least it's not the same thing. Like the Battle Glove Man-at-Arms is just lazy.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So Battle Glove Man-at-Arms is a dud.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it for this wave. Next wave, we get some Evil Warriors again. So that'll be fun. At the end of this wave, we now have 11 He-Mans, 7 Skeletors, so a total of 18 He-Man and Skeletor versus 14 unique characters.
So we started with 10 unique characters. We got Faker, Cyclone, Bone Warrior,
Prince Adam.
And Prince Adam. Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So, and really, Faker's a repaint of He-Man, and Prince Adam's an alternate version of He-Man. So even when they give us the unique characters, it's still not 100% unique. So okay.
Yeah, and that's where this line falters and you're sitting here going, we've got a year of the cartoon in already, and we can't even put together like our core Masters versus Evil Warriors. But I have an entire army of He-Mans and Skeletors. So yeah. You'll see it as it goes on.
The fact that we're getting like and I love Cyclone.
Right.
But the fact that we're getting Cyclone before some of the bigger hitters on the team, like the more regular, I guess, characters that are in many episodes, I think is interesting. So one of the choices that they're making, it's like I don't, okay.
Absolutely. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to click all those buttons down below. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you all.
One more thought. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that maybe Mattel didn't pick up on or whatever, but the bad guys are always cooler. Like we're seeing
kids want heroes. They don't want bad guys.
We're seeing these waves where they're like really focusing on heroes. And even when we get a bad guy wave, it's like 1 or 2 and then some vehicles or something. Like the bad guys are the cool ones. Like for me, like when we've talked about like the Mondos and stuff, like if I had He-Man and Battle Cat and then Skeletor and all of his Evil Warriors, like that's a collection. Like that's all I need. The bad guys are cooler, man. Give us some bad guys.
Hey, convince Mattel circa 2002 of that. They said kids want heroes. They don't want villains.
And what really is weird about that, like because we're also reviewing the series.
Yeah.
Like when you see the series, it's most episodes, unless they're highlighting a specific character, it's He-Man, Man-at-Arms, and Teela versus whatever monster of the week or whatever Evil Warrior of the week and stuff. So it's like they get that that's what kids want to see, but they don't get that that's what kids want to play with.
No. So Mike Young versus Mattel.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those things. Mattel doesn't trust the Horsemen on the sculpt decisions or the color choices. They don't trust Mike Young on the play patterns. Like, no, Mattel at this time is very much like, we know what's best. We're the Juggernaut toy company. We've been around for all these years.
But I think
you guys are wrong.
I think what would be interesting is at some point to go back to Vintage Line, because that's also Mattel, right? And look at what the comparison was there between heroes and villains. Like how many for each wave, like wave in, 2 waves in, 3 waves in. How many villains did we have to heroes?
No, it was 1-to-1. They always made sure to get the Mossman Stinkor,
and how many were
Fisto Jitsu
too versus the same, because we didn't have many variants of He-Man and Skeletor, but we did have like Flying Fist, we had Battle Armor, we had stuff like that. But I think that Mattel got it in the 80s, and then for some reason in the 2000s they're like, I don't know if they did some market research or if some new people were in charge, and they were like, we got to really push the heroes. Not really.
All of the above. Yeah.
Yeah.
They overthought it.
Yeah.
Yep. But we'll see. We got quite a few more waves to go. So this will definitely. I think we'll probably have a big discussion about this at the end of it all.
Absolutely. But yeah, definitely like, subscribe, and please share with folks because word of mouth. It means a lot. It gets people watching and listening and all that kind of good stuff. So tell your friends if you're liking this, if you enjoyed MYP, if you enjoyed 2000X. If you think that we're a bunch of hacks that don't know what the hell we're talking about, still tell people, say, hey, watch this and listen to this. Tell these guys they're idiots.
Look at these idiots.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We appreciate you all. And until next time, go play with some toys. Maybe. Yep, play with them.
Oh, come on.